here we go. I'm going to get us up in the stream, get us started here.
Everybody for coming. It's a pretty amazing thing that Paul can jump out of a chair and deliver the message that needs to be delivered. I, on the other hand, got a few more minutes than you did, Paul. So we'll see what we can do. Thanks again for everybody that's here. So for 136 years, the residents of Lima, Allen County, and the state of Ohio have worked to help the Lima Refinery become successful, to become a productive fuel factory, if you will. And in that time, the workers of our community have done everything, really everything they could do to help. Paul said that he heard the explosion and knew that there was trouble. That's pretty normal for the refinery. It's not terribly unusual, as many of you know, who've been around as long as I have. But what have we given? What has this community given? And what kind of a relationship do we have with the refinery?
My name's Steve Grumbine, and I am brought to you with Taft, Mangas, and Tim LuceWireman. And these guys are in the union and Lima working with a refinery. And what's happening here as we speak is that the refinery and the capital management company that is literally taking this revenue source for the community, this opportunity to work in the refinery. It's like 1 million man hours are being shipped out and off, put out to non-union work outside of the Lima community. And it is absolutely taking away the revenue source that would allow the state, the schools, you name it, to be able to fund themselves. And not only that, but the good people in this area. This is like a typical race to the bottom Rust Belt story, where once again, capital has decided that it's going to squash the little man, squash unions, and destroy their opportunity to survive. So I'm going to bring my guests back on. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me today. I guess let's start with you, Taft. I want to go ahead and unmute you there. Taft, if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about who you are and what's going on at the refinery right now in Lima, Ohio.
Hey, thank you, Steve. I'm a 14-year member of this Labor Local 329 here in Lima. I've worked out there off and on for 14 years too. It's good work. It's family sustaining wages and benefits. I look forward to retiring here in 20 years or so with a nice pension. But that's currently in jeopardy. With this refinery's cruel decision to bring in these workers from out of state. What we're seeing right now is they're bringing in really young kids who probably don't have the apprenticeship credentials that I do have through my union apprenticeship program. They're in pre-shutdown right now. The shutdown will actually start the first week of September. And when that goes, the plant comes all the way down, comes offline, and they go like hell until they're all the way done. So anywhere from 6 to 10 weeks, like you were saying, 1.7 million man hours. That'll be $70 million for lost wages and benefits to the Lima community. We have always serviced those shutdowns. We have always been fully capable to provide the manpower. There's 2 refineries 70 miles away in Toledo, Ohio, one just south of Detroit, and a very, very large industrial plant in the Middletown area, AK Steel. So we all kind of make our way around those plants. If you're a construction worker, that's a part of the deal. You got to travel, you got to move around. And we know that. So the refinery in Toledo, which is also it's a joint venture with BP and Husky, their shutdown is going hybrid. It's a 50% union and 50% non-union, but this one here in Lima is all non-union. We've done a mix before of hybrid, union and non-union, but it's never even been 50-50. And then they're taking this to the extreme of all non-union shutdown.
And
So that's
Tim,
where
let me
we're at
bring
right
you.
now. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I want to bring Tim in momentarily. Tim, you're the business manager that Taft has spoken so highly of in the discussion you guys had last night. Tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us what's going on.
So I've been a member of Labor's Local 329 for a bunch of years. I first joined back in 1973. So I'm no young guy like Taft is. So we've seen a lot of different owners come and go out of this facility. And you go back far enough, it was Standard Oil of Ohio back in the day. It's changed hands probably at least 10 or 12 times. I'd have to spend a few minutes just to figure that all out. But in the end, we've never had an owner that's come in here without any warning and said, by the way, for the Lima, Ohio community and for the county and the surrounding counties and even the state of Ohio, we're going to take your jobs as Ohio workers and we're going to hand them to people from out of state. This is just a real shocker, I think, to everybody that lives in our area. And it doesn't matter what kind of political persuasion you are, because everybody agrees that these should be Ohio jobs for Ohio workers. Of course, Taft and I and many of our affiliated unions want this to be union jobs where there is a living wage, good benefits. But even on the bigger picture, it's should you allow what is essentially the insourcing of cheaper labor to take those jobs away from the local workers?
So can you both tell me a little bit about what it's like to be in Lima? What is that whole area like? What has this neoliberal period done to the community? I mean, is it a robust economy? Is it a downtrodden economy? What are we looking at in that community?
Well, I think I can answer that question pretty well because I've been around for a lot longer than Taft has been. Look, back in the 50s and 60s, we had the capability right here in this city to build locomotives for train traffic. We had our own company that worked here in Lima. You look at some of the Clark equipment manufacturing that was done here, where they literally would build earth movers that you could put 2 tandem axle dump trucks inside the bucket. I mean, these were monstrous earth moving capabilities, and it was manufactured right here in Lima. We had a bus factory at one time, a substantial employer for the area. Phillips more recently shut down a facility just north of the city so that they could move it to Mexico. And so when you talk about the Rust Belt, you think about areas of Ohio and or other states that maybe aren't here in Northwest Ohio, but we're seeing a lot of economic activity go the wrong direction here. But like I said before, this is the first time we've ever had what is essentially a job rob, and it's robbery by bringing in out-of-state workers to take our work.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, this downtrodden community, this community that once was great and had wonderful things going, that has turned into a standard, typical race to the bottom Rust Belt area. The one of the very things that the entire community looks forward to is this annual type cleaning thing. This is an opportunity for everybody to finally have money, and I imagine that they count on this. They're looking forward to this, and all of a sudden, they literally steal that work out from the community and farm it out to a bunch of scabs, basically in Texas, outsourcing that to for their own purposes, cutting the bottom out of it, and what does that do, not just to you as workers, but to the whole community? Think about how this impacts the rest of the Lima community.
I can tell you this: if you're going to bring in workers from out of state, and they're gonna get paid for the hours that they're working, and we estimate pretty conservatively it's 1.7 to 1.8 million work hours, and we estimate conservatively that it'll be about $70 million in wages for our workers. This does not include pension or insurance benefits, but just the raw economic impact is pretty severe. What we know is that those workers from out of state are not going to buy furniture at the local furniture store. They're not going to buy an automobile at the local car dealership. They're going to go back home to their home state, and that's where they're going to spend money that they earned in Ohio. And obviously the net effect of that is that economic activity is not going to occur here in our community or in our state.
So each of the taxable dollars that come through there rob your schools of money. They rob your roadways of money. They rob your local businesses of that money. And ultimately, by extension, continue the race to the bottom as they extract all that value from your community. This is a standard race to the bottom. United States are fighting one another, led by these major corporations that just treat us like we're disposable. Let me ask you this question. You guys are trying to line up some direct actions to prevent this from happening. Can you tell us a little bit about what your strategy is for fighting back against this?
The first thing is to build community support. You can't show up with pickets and tough guy attitude on the very first day. So we started off with going to community events, spreading our message amongst the people, gathering petition signatures. We're up close to 1,400, which just between a couple active members that are gathering signatures one at a time is really significant amount when you consider that the population of Lima is only 37,000. So we're on an escalating campaign trajectory. We have yesterday we had a town hall meeting with Refinery management that they declined to attend. We're going to continue to escalate from there. We've done food drives. We've gone to the managers' neighborhoods and gone to their neighbors, not them specifically, but their neighbors, to spread our message there, where we asked for canned goods for the displaced workers. And then a part of that too is making sure that our members do not get the message twisted, that they can see this for what it is, that they can see that this is corporate greed and that we're backed into a corner. And our only options are to flex our people power, our collective strength, and go from there and show this refinery that we're not going to take this lane down, because we've seen it, like Tim was saying, over and over again, where we face this outsourcing of our work and our good paying union jobs over and over and over again. And what gets brought in, what people really hoping to get an Amazon factory here, that ended up located about 35 miles down the interstate. But an Amazon factory, if you have 1,200 jobs or something at $15 an hour, that's not going to build up our community. That's still, that's not going to get schools and roads and, churches built back up to where they need to be. So our campaign, as we near the beginning of the shutdown, is just designed to create more and more and more pressure with the management.
Okay. So as you talked about this escalating campaign, I like how you're hitting them right in their own communities, where people get to see them for what they are, people that aren't considering the other members of the community. It's important, I think, to actually put faces to the problem and allow people to see that this is not a victimless situation. So I fully agree with that. Let me bring this back to the history of this refinery again. I mean, how long has this sort of been a tradition of the area? How long has this particular activity been done, and by the union in particular?
Well, our local has been here since 1939. So we're not Johnny come lately. We've been doing this work. In some cases, some of our members have actually been performing work at the refinery for 5 generations. My own family has done it for 4. So we have just a phenomenal dedication on the part of workers to this particular facility. And, you know, people have no idea what that really means unless you're on the ground with boots on. And what it really means is that when there's a spill, when there's a rupture, when there's a problem, when something fails, when in the middle of the winter in January or February, when it's 10 below zero with winds blowing at 20 or 30 miles an hour, you get the call at 2 in the morning, hey, we need a crew out here to help thaw the lines, or otherwise we're going to have trouble. The laborers and the pipe fitters and the boilermakers and all of the trades come running. And it's remarkable to me that history of dedication on the part of workers is now being essentially ignored and telling us that we're too expensive for the services that we've been rendering for the past 136 years. And I tell people that you get what you pay for in a big way when it comes to that kind of dedication. And the trades are always going to be there for the facility. But at the same time, what happens when you run out of opportunity is that workers find something else to do. And that's what we fear, that we're going to lose a bunch of really good people to other kinds of occupations if there's not enough work in our area to keep them working.
You know, I understand that. So let's take the next step here. So when does your the direct actions really commence? I know that you all were working with the police earlier today. I know that you've got some things set up. Tell us about how this escalating process is going to play out and how we might be able to help you.
So I don't want to give too much away, but
Understood.
we are going to continue to escalate, and you know, hopefully we can get, you know, ideally we could get to a full plant-wide work stoppage would be awesome. I don't know if we'll get there, but even if like I said, even if the shutdown is successful, there can still be wins to take away from this. But how to help us would be signing our petition. We do have some resistance from your typical sources. This is one of the reddest parts of Ohio. So we got support from the city council, unanimous support, Republicans and Democrats. But the Chamber of Commerce is an obstacle, and our county commissioners are an obstacle. They are the one gentleman is a legislative aide for a guy many people know. His name is Jim Jordan. He's one of the most disgusting red QAnon Tea Party Republicans you've ever come across. And this guy was his legislative aide, you know, one of his proteges. So, you know, you can start by pressuring the county commissioners, the Chamber of Commerce. I'll make sure and get you a petition link. But you know, if somebody, and that petition link will get you into our network where you'll be getting those calls to action, those short notice calls to action. Where, you know, we like to have the element of surprise. They don't know what's coming next. And, but we're not done hitting, and we're going to hit them hard.
Very good. So I guess as a kind of a follow-up here, I think this is not just unique to Lima, right? This is kind of one of those things where across the United States, we've seen brutal attacks on unionization. We've seen laws passed to make strike more and more challenging. The statement, an injury to one is an injury to all, I think is very important here. How in the world would you recommend reaching out to other union brothers and sisters in different trades and bringing in more union support? Is there a way to rally a larger contingent of union workers to make your case?
We are working with the CLC and in our area, and then there are some labor publications that we're reaching out to as well. We're trying to spread the message far and wide. Our international union is helping us out, so we're doing the best that we can to spread the message. But ideally, social media is the best way, the easiest way to get that done. We do have a pretty strong social media campaign going right now. We had one post that had over 200,000 engagements, and that was just targeted to our area. So, we want to build a broad coalition for this. Absolutely.
Now, it makes no sense to me that Republicans, who are blue collar workers just as well, why they would not be in solidarity, united in fighting back, given the fact that aren't they for the little guy? Isn't that what they always try to say? That they're there for the working man, that they're there to take care of Jane and Joe Q. Public? Isn't that the whole point of Make America Great Again and all the lies that came out of Trump's mouth? Isn't that, why would they be against the union fighting for their own work?
So,
go ahead, Tim.
Okay. What I want to emphasize here is that we definitely want these jobs. We definitely want these jobs to go union. But just as importantly, we want these jobs for Ohioans. And I have yet to see any politician, red or blue, say, I'm really against Ohio workers from having these Ohio jobs, and I'd prefer if somebody from Texas came in and took them away from them. So, I think we're on the right track by making this not only a labor union organized event, but I think it's also important to bring our brothers and sisters in from all walks of life and tell everybody this is a workers' right. This is a workers' event, and we need to really stress that. Make sure that we all understand that the guys coming from Texas are coming for Texas for opportunity, for economic opportunity. The guys who are bringing them here are the ones at fault, and they're the ones responsible for what's going to happen here to Ohio workers. So I tell everybody, let's make sure we don't displace our sights on what we should be looking for and that's the greed of the company wanting to get cheaper, less expensive workers to come in and do this work that otherwise would be a union scale, a prevailing wage kind of job. And by the way, that's where I would like to travel with this program beyond this shutdown, beyond this year. As you may be aware, California now actually continues to lead the country about how people should be paid. And so facilities work there is now considered prevailing wage work. So, and I think we could do that here in Ohio. I think you gotta set your sights a whole lot higher and raise the bar and say, look, this is really important work that needs to be done by local workers, by Ohio workers. One of the ways you level the playing field is by saying we're gonna use a union scale prevailing wage to pay everybody, no matter who works at that facility. And that changes, I think it changes everything about bringing in workers from other states.
Yeah, very good. I appreciate that. So I guess, guys, let's leave us with a parting thought. What can we tell our audience if you had to, give them a message to go for? What is your parting words? Let's start with you, Taft.
My parting words would be to not ever take an event like this for granted. We have a lot of apathy and complacency, and it's just a killer. You're not going to get anything out of your union if you're not involved. Stay involved, stay engaged, pay attention, This is just the first domino to fall. We have other plants in the same campus as the refinery. A Nutrien, it's a huge agricultural ammonia plant, and an Eneos plant that makes components or parts for the plastic industry. This would be the first domino to fall. The contractors are already utilized by these other facilities. So once they start, cutting our throats here, it's just going to spread like a cancer. It's going to go up to Toledo, down to Dayton and Middletown. So always stay vigilant, always stay ready, and be engaged and fight back. We can't give up any more ground to these people.
And Tim, let me give you the last word, sir.
So workers' rights and the right to organize in a union have been fought for. Nobody gave workers anything. They earned every one of their stripes, and so much so that many of them lost their lives in that struggle. When you go back far enough to the miners of this country that really became the backbone of the union movement, and when you look at the unions as they were born and grew, no one gave workers anything. Workers took what was rightfully theirs. And without a fight, without a battle, we lose. So my estimation of what needs to happen going forward is we need a coalition of workers who understand that nothing's going to be given to us and that we have to do exactly what the organizers 100 years ago were doing. And that is they organized and they fought for what they were going to get because they understood the fight was going to be just that. So I'll encourage anybody and everybody to do anything and everything. Make a trip to Ohio. Come and support us. If you're nearby, if you're far away, join us on our Facebook page. Join us in our fight and our struggle to keep our jobs relevant and to keep our wages and pay where they should be. And that is prevailing in union scale.
Very good. And folks, I just want to say I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progress in Action. I want to thank Taft for joining us and Tim for joining us. And remember, this is a microcosm of the larger unification we need to do to accomplish anything in this country. This is just a microcosm of it. Let's learn from this and let's take action. And in solidarity with you guys, I hope you prevail. So with that, have a great day, everybody. We're out of here.